All right, welcome to our Tuesday night team call. Super happy to have so many of you here tonight. It's great. I'm really excited to introduce to you somebody who should be familiar to most of you, and that is our awesome upline, our awesome Sapphire upline, Susan Stern. She is going to share a little bit about her journey with Plexus. And let me tell you something, if you've heard her story before, every time I hear her share her story, I learned something new about it. All of our stories are really rich and complex, and so she tends to share a little bit of a different aspect each time. So I think you'll really benefit from hearing a little bit about her story and then some of her top tips for business. And Susan and I met, oh my word, 3.5 years ago about this pregnant. I think she was already overdue, and I was due any day. I ended up going overdue as well, and out in our driveways, waddling out there. And I'm so grateful that we did. I really, truly believe, when we found this house, it was only through a series of divine intervention. And hindsight is 20/20. Sometimes we don't see the Lord's blessings till later in hindsight, but I truly believe that part of the blessing and the reason that we were brought to this particular house was because we needed to meet Susan and her family so that we could be introduced to Plexus. They've been such a huge blessing in our lives, and she is an absolutely amazing leader, and she's fantastic, especially when it comes to product knowledge and to knowing how to really minister to the individual. And so I'm excited to hear some of her tips tonight, and I will let her go ahead and take it away.
Thank you, Kathy. And thanks, you guys, for showing up tonight. Of course, I was the mystery guest. So I'm just so excited to be here with you guys because I feel like I'm home. I didn't feel like I had to, get all dressed up and, because you guys are you've been doing this with me and Kathy and John for a lot of you guys almost 3 years. And so I'm excited to just be able to talk to you guys. It's been a while for some of us that we've talked. Like Kathy said, a lot of you have heard my story, or we know each other personally and we've talked, or you've seen me share on a Zoom call or at a meeting. But I do want to share a little bit different slant on my story, interestingly enough. So after I share, I'm going to try to keep it brief. I am going to give you the Cliff Note version of Rock Your Network Marketing Business by Sarah Robbins. I almost said Sarah Marble. I read this in October, and one of the main things I'm going to start off talking about is the power of being all in. And so I want to just share a few parts of my story of when I went all in, and there's just this magnificent, supernatural power that happens, guys. And so if you're not all in with your business or your life or your own health journey, you're going to have doubts and you're going to lack confidence. So the first part of my story that a lot of you guys do know is that my health crashed in 2006. I was 33, I think, maybe 34. No, I was 33. And I suddenly started having massive fatigue, body aches, muscle aches, joint pain, brain fog, some anxiety. I had a wicked, crazy, itchy rash on my face and neck. It was just so itchy. I would just tear my skin off. It was really ugly. My eyelids were all puffy. I was having chemical sensitivities, so sometimes makeup or hairspray would fall on my face and I'd get blisters from it. So it was like my body was attacking itself. And for about 6 months, I visited 5 different doctors, allergist, dermatologist, my regular doctor, my OBGYN. Nobody could figure out what was wrong with me. The only thing they could do to help was give me some steroid cream for the rash, which, you can't be on steroid creams for too long. So anyway, I ended up going to a holistic health practitioner out of desperation and, quite honestly, mostly out of vanity because I was single and I was working full-time in advertising and seeing clients and coworkers, and it's my face, I looked like there was something wrong with me, And so that is actually what drove me to really, really get help and take this seriously. Well, when I did, I found out so much about what can cause what was happening to me, and that all of these things were not unrelated. So the skin issue was not unrelated to the muscle aches and so forth. And so as you guys all know by now, I'll jump to the punchline is I had leaky gut. And the holistic health practitioner basically over a series of you know, hour and a half long questioning period, a blood test that showed widespread food allergies, and then some other things. He determined that I had leaky gut. He said, you're not allergic to all these things. You're not allergic to all these foods and all these. It's that your gut is damaged, the lining. And so these little semi-permeable holes that normally are only allowed to let little particles in, those holes are damaged. So it's letting bigger food particles through that should be going and being eliminated by the body. So that's when your immune system mounts an attack on itself. So that's what was happening to me. But I had to go all in because he said, look, the way you're going to heal this is, of course, this was way before Plexus, but he said you have to do a 6-month elimination diet. And you got to take these probiotics and digestive enzymes and drink this nasty aloe vera juice and this totally and even nastier grapeseed extract. And, all these things that he was teaching me. But I had to really go all in with that. And none of my friends or family supported me in the elimination diet. Everybody thought he was a quack. This was 10 years ago, before leaky gut was a common term. But I had to go against the grain and choose to believe that this guy knew what he was talking about. And I knew that if I didn't do this, I would be missing an opportunity to get healthy. And that I'd be instead going down the road of drugs and just being on medications my whole life, and maybe even being diagnosed with an autoimmune disease. So, during that time when I was uncertain, I actually took out a disability insurance policy for $150 a month because I was so terrified of where my health was going. Like, my sister has multiple sclerosis. I literally thought, it's my turn, So for me, that elimination diet was like my all-in period with my health. Thank God I did it, because that's a precursor to my Plexus journey. It's been 10 years for me of learning about, what can I eat, or what kind of stress level can I have before my body starts reacting, so I'm still managing my leaky gut. And so that's where the Plexus products come into my journey, is that, of course, I'm obsessed with ProBio 5. But I just wanted you guys to know that. And then shortly after that is when I had a spiritual journey, awakening. That sounds really new agey, but I realized some things about my walk with God, and I realized some things about what he was offering me and promising me. And I, had been in advertising for 13 years, working under fluorescent lights, TV stations, ad agencies, super competitive environments of just, it was not natural to me. And I was, surrounded by a really materialistic culture, just in the ad business. And so I felt like God was saying, leave it, go on these mission trips, travel the world, like go to Africa, go to Yemen, go to India, leave it. And so it's a super long story to tell you how I did that, but I went all in with God, and in late 2007, and I quit my career, and I was making about $120,000 a year by then. And it was, I was kind of where I had worked to be for a long time. And so I ended up quitting and selling all my possessions pretty much, and went and traveled the world for about 3 months, and everything changed in my life. But, had I not done that, if I clung to what was comfortable, and if I had clung to what, felt good or people, approved of, I never would have met my husband. I can't even think about it. So I know what I'm saying is, guys, sometimes you have to let go of something you're hanging on to, that comfort zone, and before you can get to the promised land, if you will, sometimes you have to take drastic measures, whether it's with your health, maybe you're stuck with the products, and you don't know what to do. You might need to talk to Kim Pollock and get on one of her 21-day challenges and really talk. You might need to go deeper. Our products can't cure everything. You have to work with them, and this is your health journey that you're responsible for. So I guess what I'm saying is there's power in going all in. After I quit my job, everybody suddenly listened to me, because they knew I was serious, and I was able to raise $16,000 of fundraising money in a matter of 2 months for my trips. Because they saw me selling all my possessions to go towards the people were like, okay, I'll support you. But I'm saying with your business, when people know that you're all in, they will start trusting you. That will exude confidence. If you're not all in, people can smell that. And they can sense it about you. And they might not want to join your team because they're not really sure you're going to be there. And of course, they don't know of all the support, behind the scenes. But that's just a little part of my journey. Of course, there's a million angles I could take, but I hope that was maybe a little bit of a new one for you guys that would help. So I'm going to roll into the Sarah. I keep wanting to call her Sarah Marble. Sarah Robbins, Rock Your Network Marketing Business. I've heard a lot of people say this is the best network marketing business book you can read if you were just going to read one. Thankfully, it's really short. It's like 100 pages. Totally easy read. I read it on and off through October, and I underlined the really big aha things for me. Might have been different for somebody else, but then I compiled it all, and then I kind of rearranged and kind of clumped everything based on topic. So I may not be able to go over all of this, but I'm sort of giving you guys the Cliff Note book report of the book, and hopefully you'll be able to, glean a lot of just great nuggets for your business through this. As I read it, I realized how entrenched her work is in our Plexus leadership. So many of our Diamond ambassadors, what they're teaching and duplicating is exactly what Sarah said. So that's really cool. She's like the Plexus person. So if you don't know about her, she, before the age of 30, so she's a self-described shy elementary school teacher, and before the age of 30, she became the top earner in her network marketing company. She and her mom were the first to join, and you'd have to read the book to know, how that all came about. But they didn't have any training. They didn't have marketing materials. They didn't even have a compensation plan yet. So it's kind of like Sheila Medina back in the day. She says, all we had was our belief. She also says, in my opinion, your decision to do whatever it takes is the greatest factor that leads to your success. And that's what I mean by going all in with whatever it is. It may be with your income producing activities and your reach outs. It may be with talking to the people you're most afraid to talk to. Maybe it's just letting go of some of those fears and self-doubts and negative self-talk. Maybe it's letting go of what everybody thinks and people, criticizing you for doing your Plexus business or for posting about Plexus. Sarah says that success in network marketing actually did not come easy for her. She says, I wasn't a fast starter, and I failed forward quite a bit. The most important thing was that I didn't quit, and I learned a lot. A successful mentor later told her that she was coachable, and that was one of the main reasons she was able to grow. But several times in the book, she talks about failing forward. So instead of, we all fail. Like, you think of Michael Jordan learning basketball and all the times he had to fail in order to get great. If you fail and then quit, or if you fail and then beat yourself up, or you fail and then don't do the next hard thing, then you're failing backwards. But she consistently learned from her mistakes and failed forward. So I really like that kind of analogy and the way she talks about that. I'm going to roll into a section that I titled Prospecting, Sharing, and Inviting. We talk about sharing a lot with Plexus, and I want to do a little bit more training on the art of inviting, because really we're inviting people to take a look at our products. Yes, we're sharing, but we're also inviting, and so there's kind of an art to that. But she said that she made the shift from product sales to power prospecting for her business. When she made the shift from just selling products to customers to building a team, she watched her checks go from a few $1,000s a month to more than $10,000 a month in just a few months. She talks about the power of prospecting. So customer sales create linear income. And if you stop selling, or if your customers stop purchasing and cancel, then your income stops. So if you have 5 customers, they all cancel, you suddenly have no paycheck. But when you build a team, you'll build long-term residual income, and eventually you'll have the ability to take a lot of time off without it really negatively affecting your income. of course, if you quit altogether and, don't work your business, just it's obviously going to have attrition and, die off. But, having that long-term residual income is what buffers you from illness or just wanting to go on vacation or, basically that's where the real time freedom comes in. But at the beginning, there's actually a lot of work that needs to be done to be able to earn that position. She said that prospecting, the Webster's dictionary is one of them is looking for gold. So the process of talking to people in hopes that you will find some who are interested in joining you. You'll sift through a lot of people, and she went into that in great detail. You will talk to tons of people just to find 2 to 3 people who will work the business with you. And it only takes a few power partners, is what she calls them, to change your life and to change your business. And that's your gold. So for me, I really was fortunate that John and Kathy joined my team really early, and so did Caroline French. And so they have been my main 2 power partners as far as my level 1s go. Of course, I've got other really important level 1s, who have made it to silver or gold. But, John and Caroline are both jewels now. And so literally I became a jewel with 2 main power partner legs. So when you think about like this overwhelm of like, oh, it's got to create such a big team and all this stuff, you are just sifting through, reaching out to tons of people to find really 2 people who will work the business with you passionately. And so hopefully that takes some pressure off, but also shows you where your pressure needs to be. And that's on continuing to, prospect for gold. She said they did a survey of top earners in network marketing and people who had been in the business for 5 to 25 years. And they responded that all of them had personally sponsored only 50 to 150 people. So they all had, these are top earners in their companies. They all had between 50 and 150 level 1s. But they said that 80% of their income came from 1 to 3 legs or leaders. So out of that 50 to 150 people, only 1 to 3 people were actually really building their business. So again, that supports what I was just saying. Find the 2 people who will run with you. 80% of, it's the 80-20 rule, which you hear in a lot of business terms and, other aspects of life, but 80% of your income will come from 20% or less of your level 1s. She says that she quickly realized you can't motivate people who are unwilling to do what it takes to succeed, but to remember to work with the willing and love the rest. So love your whole team, train them, do all that, but really, really work on those people who are running and really lock arms with them. Some other tips she gives for prospecting, sharing, and inviting are handling objections, to use the feel, felt, found method to make them feel heard and validated so they feel you're on their side and not in a defensive position. So if somebody has an objection, about our products or our company or network marketing or anything, or maybe they're a customer and they're having some trouble. So she gives the example, I understand how you feel. I felt the same way when I got started, but here's what I found. So feel, felt, found. So you empathize with them, you share how you felt, and then what you found. So that's just a tip she gives for handling objections. Also, she says for helping launch a new team member, she uses the I do, we do, you do method of training. So she does it first, and they take notes and learn and watch her. The second time they do it together, and the third time the new team member does it on their own. So this could be applied to a sip and see. It could be applied to a Zoom meeting or a Zoom training with your new team. Let's say you just went silver, but you're like, I don't know how to do a Zoom call. Then your upline can help you by doing one for you the first time and for your team. But then the second time, you set up the Zoom call, you set up the, what you're going to talk about, You do the graphic to promote it, but your upline's there, to make sure that everything goes smoothly, kind of as crutches or training wheels. And then you're off and you can do it by yourself. So obviously opportunity meetings, three-way calls. There's a lot of ways that this can be used. Because you do want to empower people and to duplicate. You don't just want to do things for them all the time. She says, friendships are the glue. Friendships and team camaraderie are what keep people in the business when there are distractions in life and setbacks in their business momentum. Kathy and John are excellent at this. She says to set up parties, barbecues, quarterly recognition events, and team get-togethers at conventions and leaders retreats. So my question would be, Kathy and John are like phenomenal at this. Are you guys duplicating that with your teams? What kind of team culture are you creating? Because, as their team gets bigger, those events can't always be as personal because there's just so many people. So how are you personally, maybe doing play dates or, recognition events for your team? I probably need to rush. There's so much good stuff. I'm probably going to do another call where I do all of this. I'm going to go into, so the cure to what ails your business. She says, if your business is sluggish, then the lack of activity is probably your main problem, or doing the wrong activities, like just spending a lot of time on Facebook that's not productive, time wasters, and not focusing on income producing activities. She coaches her team not to measure their activity in lag measures, which the lag measure is, I want to sponsor 2 new ambassadors by the end of the month. That would be, you're measuring the aftermath of the activity. She said you have to measure the, she calls it lead measures, which those are the things you can control. Those are your daily activities. So she said, track your activity and your lead measures. Don't track your results. I mean, obviously, your back office is tracking your results, but you might find that you have to reach out to 50 people to get 1 new ambassador. So begin tracking the 50s and tracking the no's, because it's a numbers game, really. She said to find out how many no's it takes you to get a yes. And eventually you'll start having kind of a closing ratio, for lack of a better word. But it does take a ton of reach outs to get a few good runners. She said people mainly struggle with limiting belief and lack of self-motivation. So in addition to not doing income producing activity, their mindset and management and poor management of time and emotions are the places where people often get caught up. And I thought that was really astute, that it's poor management of time and emotions. Think of when you get derailed by team drama, or somebody offended you, or whatever it is, that leaders are able to set their drama aside and move on towards their goal. And so really being in control of your mindset and your time and your own emotions is what's going to help you get through to where you want to be to reach your goals. She says to keep things simple and duplicatable, teach your downlines how to prospect for potentials who have influence, and then share with a passion and invite with confidence. Network marketing professionals must take accountability for their actions, daily activity, and own their results. She says not to blame your progress or lack of progress on your team. Your own personal effort and mindset is the only thing that can attribute to speeding up your momentum. She talks about the $50 woman. She tells a story about a woman who ends up quitting because her team wasn't growing fast enough. She only had 1 downline under her, so she quit. Well, then a couple years later, that downline caught the vision of their business and ended up totally becoming a rock star runner and actually became one of the top earners in the whole company. And so Sarah says that conservatively, after taxes, that girl who quit would have made an estimated $50 million over the lifetime, from that downline who became a rock star. And so, you know, again, we talk about don't try to find your rock star and, you know, ride on their coattails, but also realize, you know, the people you sign up at any time, they could catch the vision, and you want to be around, you know, when they, you know, start really building. So the lesson there is don't quit, stick with one company and ride it out. She says, I can do anything for a short period of time to produce long-term financial freedom for myself and my family. Recently, Diamond Ambassador Andrea Mitchell, who's a friend of mine, she said that people ask her, how did you get to Emerald, you know, in 5 months? And she said she literally did not take her foot off the pedal. Like she knew what she wanted and she went for it. And I would say similar to me, you know, my 3rd month of Plexus, Todd lost his job. We had tons of debt and no savings. We were literally desperate. And so I took the blinders off, and it was like, yeah, I have a new baby I'm nursing and a 2.5-year-old, but we're doing this, you know? And so I was totally all in. So her advice is to set aside a minimum of 10 to 15 hours of income producing activity per week if you desire to duplicate a larger network. So if you want to grow and advance in rank with the company, 10 to 15 hours minimum per week. And I would definitely say for me, that would be way, way on the low side from, you know, when I was building. And, you know, not that I recommend being a workaholic, and I know a lot of us are moms, so, you know, you never get your time back with your kids. So I'm not trying to say that you should, you know, put Plexus above all else, but people who have made it to Jewel and made it relatively quickly have put in a ton of time, and they found ways to sacrifice, you know, like Roz, she used to watch a lot of TV in the evenings, so she just cut that out. That was like her sacrifice. For me, I just really wasn't that busy before because we had moved here and I didn't have a lot of friends yet, and I just had a baby, and I think I thought I was busy, but I didn't even realize, you know how, what do they say? Just busy people can do more. And so once I got Plexus in my life and got really excited and motivated, I didn't realize how much I could really do. So I did it in the nooks and crannies of my day, being a stay-at-home mom. So she gives some advice and just in general, and then on the importance of words and self-talk and daily affirmations and out loud declarations, which I personally need to work more on this because I feel really cheesy saying them out loud, but like, I know that this is the next step for me too. You know, as I'm going towards Diamond, I have a little bit of a mental block, you know, like, Diamond, we're here. You know, like, you know, am I good enough for Diamond? Can I handle it? And all that stuff. And so, she said that, so earlier I told you she was a slow starter. It wasn't until she had what she calls her parking lot moment, where she was in a parking lot and got a phone call, and it was a mentor of hers that basically said, it's because your words are not matching up with what you say you want. The words you speak about your team, about yourself, about your business are totally incongruent with what you say you want to be as a leader. And so that's when she realized and started changing. And it was about a 2-year period of really speaking her positive declarations. And at first she would just say, you know, I'm the top earner in my company. I have the fastest growing team in my company. And she was like, it was not true at all, but she kept saying it, and she ended up becoming just that. But one piece of advice is, she says, I don't start or end the day with chaos, with emails, TV, text messages, etc., Facebook. She says, I feed and fuel myself with prayer, devotions, reading personal and professional development materials, and listening to positive and uplifting music. So that's how she starts and ends her day. I learned that your words are seeds. Words are capable of bringing in a harvest in your life, good or bad. My words were either going to be a fertilizer to my growing dream, or they would poison it. Like I said, Sarah's business didn't take off wildly until she got her self-talk and words of affirmation in order. Let's see. Yeah, at the time it wasn't true, but she spoke it out loud daily, and it began to create a change in her own heart and mind and attitude and behavior. She said, your thoughts become your words become your actions, and your actions determine your outcome. Another piece of advice she gives is to learn your company story. And your upline story. So Plexus has a really cool story, and we're kind of like the underdog that now is making it big. And that's a really cool story to learn. So if you're new, ask your sponsors or some people who have been around a while about the Plexus story and how it began and the different variations, that have happened along the way, and even how our comp plan came to be. And you'll see why Tarl can legitimately say that Plexus does network marketing. I can't remember what he says. Something like
the way it could be done, and the way it should be done, but rarely is.
Rarely done. Yeah. And that's really true. And it was purposeful. Also learning the stories of your uplines, your sponsor. That's super important. You might know your sponsor, but do you know maybe your sponsor story and your jewel upline stories? So if you have not yet watched our Diamond Uplines, Diamond documentaries, you have to do that. They're so inspiring. Rosalind Payne is my Diamond. She's my sponsor. Her sponsor is Celeste Gwynn, who's the top earner in our whole company. And then Jen Hawkins is above her. She was a working mom who just needed, I think, $1,000 a month to be able to quit her job and stay home with her babies. And of course, now she's making like a million times that. But even way above us is Allison Bro. And for a long time, she was the youngest diamond in the company. So she's got a cool diamond documentary as well. That's going to just feed into your belief that you can do it, and that, this company really does offer us the opportunity of a lifetime. Sarah Robbins, her why was always to start a foundation for children, and to build orphanages in India and around the world to help suffering children. But she said that actually her why was so big that instead of motivating her, it demotivated her. And she felt completely like hopeless and like it would never happen. And so this is so cool what she says. She took baby steps towards that goal by starting a separate bank account, which would allow her to put aside a portion of her paycheck each month to do something nice for a family in need. And as her paychecks grew, she was able to help more people and just feed into that dream, of just helping children. And so eventually her dream of funding that foundation became a reality. She says to stop and take time, and she suggests several hours to evaluate your why, to search your heart, to find the why that makes you cry, and write it down, and then share it with your sponsor, your spouse. Start, you guys have heard this, but it's pretty powerful. She has a goal board for all the things in her life that she's working towards and all the things that she's praying about. Let's see where we are in time. Hang on, guys. I'm trying to see what I want to cut out and what I want to. Let's see. We have a little bit of time, I feel like. So she said some top E's to being an empowered entrepreneur. Check your ego at the door. Humility is the ability to not be moved by flattery or criticism. The death of contentment is comparison, and focus on your calling and no one else's. Exude energy and excitement. We're in the business of promoting and inviting and sharing. She says meetings and calls and big events catapult, excitement and enthusiasm, and catapult people to success and infuse your business with bursts of energy. Encourage people all the time. People will work for praises more than raises. Engage your team. Shine the spotlight on their strengths. People have more buy-in when they're part of the process. So as much as possible, try to include everybody and find, jobs and roles for people. And that can be at meetings, but also on Zoom calls or things on your team page. Educate your team. Obviously, it's our responsibility to train our teams. Be careful not to get into management mode. Once you're higher up, you can get in management mode with like your level 10s. but you're like not really paying attention to your level ones, or you're not building your business. So, try to delegate and equip people, and don't enable them to stay where they're at. She also said encourage on all sides, that good leaders know how to elevate and lift up the entire organization, not just their own downlines, but their uplines, the corporate team, sidelines, and even other people in Plexus. And so that's what One Plexus is all about, as you guys know. Let's see. So I am going to wrap it up with just a couple more takeaways. She said, endure, don't quit. The grass is never greener on the other side, especially when it comes to Plexus. I said that. She didn't say that. But she said, the grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is only greener where you water it. You have the ability to speak into someone's destiny on your team, and that's an incredible privilege. We all have people who are depending on us to be effective and to cast a vision for them to reach their full potential in life. And I think about that mean Facebook Live video that John Taylor did a month or two ago, where he pretended that he was quitting. And I was like, is he joking? No, it's John. He's joking, right? No, but he seems so serious, And I just thought, my heart just started breaking, like, for his team, because I thought, if he quits, what's his team going to do? But it's like, there's a lot of people at Silver and Gold who are like slowly quitting, and they're just leaving and abandoning their teams. And that's just as sad, So just realize the people that you've recruited to your team, think about what a precious privilege it is to be a part of their life and have that position of being able to speak into their destiny and help them achieve their goals. And they may outrank you. They may pass you up, and that's awesome, She shares in the end of her book that when she and her husband visited that first orphanage in India that they built, they looked at each other with tears in their eyes and said it was all worth it. All the hard work, tears, rejection, and no's over the past 5 years were worth it. It's never too early or too late to passionately pursue your dreams. So now you don't have to read the book.
Who got the Rock Your Network Marketing for Dummies, the Cliff Notes?
Yeah, that's what that was.
They don't like to read. No, that was awesome. There were a few things that really resonated with me when you talked about, you said, what do I need to let go of so I can go all in? That was really, that was very profound to me. And when you talked about that shift from selling product to inviting people to see the business opportunity and to prospecting for gold, we have such amazing products, and I still believe firmly that we lead with the products, and I know you do too, because the products are so life-changing. But I think sometimes we forget how life-changing the business is for people in all levels, not only financially, but the personal growth, the development, the friendships, and those relationships. I also really loved when you talked about starting and ending your day in a peaceful place, not in chaos. And that was something that we heard from Carrie Wilkerson also, both at Emerald Extravaganza and at Leaders Retreat. And it's something that I've had lost and have been re-implementing in my life, and it has made a world of difference. Not to pick up my phone first thing in the morning and check Facebook, but to get a morning routine where I make time for the important things: scripture study, working out, having a few minutes to ponder and think, some quality time with my kids before I dive into my day, sets me up for success. And then to end, I love how she talked about that, ending the day in peace too. And Carrie talks about that. Carrie Wilkerson talked about that too, that when you said your words aren't matching up with what you say you want, I was like, oh my gosh, light bulb. I mean, how often do we say we want one thing, but then we sit there and just complain and complain and complain and complain about everything that's not working in our lives? And right. I used to think of affirmations as lying to ourselves, but I love how when we change what we're saying, when we change our words, it's going to eventually affect the outcome. And I know Carrie talked about that too, about being out of alignment, saying we want one thing, but then our actions, not just our words, but our actions are something very different. And when we're out of alignment, it's very hard to be confident or passionate. And people see that. People see that we're out of alignment. So, so many good things. I really, really love that. Thank you so much for sharing with us. Does anybody have any questions for Susan? It could be relating to one of these things or to her story or just Anything random? Flex is general. She's super knowledgeable.
Don't be shy.
Oh, and you do have to unmute yourself if you want to ask a question. No? Going once? All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording.